Every night, as the moonlight spilled through the window, a peculiar sound echoed through the Johnson household. It was a steady, rhythmic barking that came from their lively dog Max. Max was a golden retriever with a coat that shimmered like sunlight. He had a playful spirit and loved to chase balls in the yard. But every night, as the clock struck 10, he would turn his attention to an ordinary wall in the living room. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you're watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. It all started one chilly evening when Max began to bark at the wall. At first, the family thought it was just another one of his silly antics. "Oh, he probably saw a shadow," Mom chuckled, shaking her head as she poured herself a cup of tea. But as days turned into weeks, the nightly barking became a routine that left everyone puzzled. Dad often tried to shush Max, saying, "Come on, buddy, it's time for bed." But Max would not be silenced. His deep barks echoed against the walls, filling the house with energy and mystery. The children, Jake and Lily, found it both amusing and strange. "Why is he barking? What could possibly be behind there?" Jake asked one night as they snuggled up on the couch with their popcorn. Lily, younger and more imaginative, replied with wide eyes, "Maybe there's a secret treasure hidden in the wall." She giggled while pretending to dig for gold with an invisible shovel. Both kids shared wild ideas about what could be causing Max's outbursts. Perhaps there was a ghost playing tricks or a tiny creature trying to escape. As each night passed, their curiosity grew. They began to wonder if they should investigate further. In whispered conversations during dinner, they shared theories about what lay beyond that wall. Was it a portal to another world? Or maybe a hidden room filled with toys? The mystery captivated them all. Mum watched her family's growing intrigue with a mixture of amusement and concern. She mentioned lightly, "You know dogs have great instincts. Maybe he hears something we don't." Her words hung in the air like an unsolved puzzle as they all contemplated Max's behaviour. One evening, after yet another round of barking from Max, Dad finally decided enough was enough. With determination gleaming in his eyes, he finally said, "Tomorrow morning I'm going to figure this out." The kids erupted into cheers. They were excited at the thought of unveiling whatever secret lay behind the wall. That night was filled with anticipation. As they lay in bed listening to Max's persistent barking, Jake whispered to Lily about what they might discover. "What if it's something really cool?" he asked, imagining all sorts of treasures waiting for them. Lily nodded eagerly, already dreaming of adventures that awaited them, if they could only unlock the mystery of the wall. "We'll be explorers," she declared dramatically as she tucked herself under her blanket. Max continued his nightly ritual without knowing the adventure he had sparked within his family. Little did they know that when dawn broke and Dad would pick up his tools to break open that wall, their lives would change forever. The mystery of why Max barked every night was about to unfold in ways they could never have imagined. As the days turned into weeks, the incessant barking from Max became increasingly concerning for Dad. Each night, as he tried to relax in front of the TV after a long day at work, Max's deep barks pierced the warmth of their cozy home. The sound echoed through the house, creating an atmosphere filled with confusion and worry. Dad often found himself glancing at the wall, wondering what could possibly be so interesting that it compelled Max to bark endlessly. One evening, after a particularly loud round of barking, Dad stood up and walked over to the wall. He placed his ear against the cold surface, hoping to hear something unusual. The only sound was the distant clatter of dishes from the kitchen, where Mum was busy preparing dinner. "What's wrong with you, buddy?" Dad gently asked Max, who sat with his tail wagging yet fixated on his favourite spot. The concern grew in Dad's heart as he watched his dog vigilantly guard the wall every night. He couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something more to Max's behaviour than mere curiosity or playfulness. "Maybe he hears a mouse," he thought aloud one evening while sipping his coffee. But even that explanation felt too simple for what he was witnessing. The children had begun to join in on these nightly rituals. Jake and Lily would giggle at their dog's antics. Meanwhile, Dad stood firm in his growing resolve to get to the bottom of this mystery. As he watched Max bark intently at an ordinary part of their home, one that had been there since they moved in, he felt an unease settle within him. What if something was wrong? What if there was something lurking behind that wall? That thought made Dad's heart race with an unexpected mix of fear and determination. He remembered a story from when he was a child about a family who found hidden treasure behind their wall after hearing strange noises at night. What if this was similar? But then again, what if it wasn't treasure? What if it was something else entirely? Late one night, after everyone else had gone to bed, Dad quietly tiptoed into the living room. The moonlight streamed through the window, casting shadows around the room while illuminating Max as he sat by the wall. Dad knelt beside him and stroked his golden fur softly. "We'll figure this out together," he whispered reassuringly. The next morning brought determination with it, like a fresh cup of coffee brewing on a winter morning. After breakfast, Dad put down his newspaper and turned to Jake and Lily, who were eagerly waiting for news about their nightly adventure. "All right, kids," he said with a grin that masked his worry. "I think it's time we see what's behind that wall." Jake's eyes sparkled with excitement as Lily clapped her hands in delight. They rushed towards him like explorers ready for an adventure as they grabbed some tools from Dad's workbench. In that moment, Dad felt a mix of anxiety and thrill. He knew they were about to embark on something monumental. With each tool they gathered, he felt more determined than ever to uncover whatever mystery lay behind that wall, and thankfully, they would do it together as a family. As the days passed, the Johnson family found themselves tangled in a web of reactions to Max's nightly barking. Each member had their own unique perspective, creating a blend of humour, frustration and curiosity that filled their home. Mum, ever the pragmatic one, tried to maintain a sense of calm amidst the chaos. "Maybe he's just bored," she suggested one evening, rolling her eyes playfully. She often joked about how Max might be auditioning for a role in a doggy detective show, barking away like a seasoned actor. "I can just see it now. Max the Magnificent, solving mysteries one bark at a time." The kids laughed at her silliness, but deep down Mum shared Dad's concerns. She would sometimes glance at the wall, wondering if there was really something mysterious hidden behind it. On the other hand, Dad was becoming increasingly fixated on the issue. He would sit in his favourite armchair with furrowed brows, trying to piece together what could be causing Max's obsessive behaviour. What if there's something wrong? What if it's a rat or a ghost? He pondered aloud during dinner one night. Jake giggled at the thought of a ghost scaring Max away. "Maybe it's a friendly ghost who wants to play fetch," he quipped, and Lily burst into laughter, imagining Max chasing after a ghostly ball. Meanwhile, Jake and Lily had begun to join forces in their playful theories about what lay behind the wall. Every night after dinner, they would gather around Max as he barked and create wild stories about treasures and adventures. "What if there's a secret door that leads to an enchanted forest?" Jake suggested with wide eyes. Lily chimed in eagerly, "Or maybe it leads to a pirate ship full of gold." Their imaginations ran wild, giving them an exciting escape from their everyday lives. However, frustration also seeped into family dynamics as the nights wore on. After another sleepless night filled with barking echoes, Dad finally snapped one evening. "Max, enough already!" The sudden outburst startled everyone, including Max, who stopped barking and tilted his head in confusion. Feeling guilty immediately afterward, Dad apologized gently and scratched behind Max's ears. "I just want to solve this mystery before I lose my mind," he chuckled sheepishly. Mum tried to diffuse the tension with humour. "Well, if we're going to lose our minds over a wall and a dog, we might as well make it fun." She suggested they hold a bark-off contest where each family member would take turns imitating Max's barks. Laughter filled the room, as they all took turns barking at the wall dramatically, mimicking Max's deep growls and woofs while collapsing into fits of giggles. Through all the humour and frustration, curiosity remained at the forefront of everyone's minds. Each family member felt that undeniable urge to uncover what lay behind that ordinary wall. As they sat together one night after another raucous round of barking, they shared their hopes and dreams for what discovery awaited them. With every passing day, they were united by their shared excitement and anticipation for the impending adventure that would soon unfold. In this mix of reactions, laughter from Mum and the kids, worry from Dad, and endless curiosity, the Johnson family grew closer together, ready to tackle whatever mystery awaited them behind the wall. The day after Dad announced their plan to investigate the wall, he woke up filled with determination. As breakfast simmered on the stove, he eagerly discussed his plan with Jake and Lily. "All right, team, today we play detectives," he declared, tapping a spoon against an empty bowl for emphasis. After breakfast, they gathered their tools, flashlights, a hammer, and even a magnifying glass that had once belonged to Dad's childhood detective kit. The kids were buzzing with excitement, each of them envisioning themselves in a thrilling adventure. "Where do we start?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Dad thought for a moment. "Let's look for clues around the house first. Maybe Max has seen or heard something that we haven't." They set off room by room, and Dad led the charge into the living room where Max spent most of his time. Max followed closely behind them, wagging his tail excitedly but occasionally stopping to bark at the wall again, as if urging them to hurry. As they inspected the area around the wall, Jake suddenly shouted, "Look, a sock!" He held up a mismatched sock he found under the couch. "Maybe this is a clue. Could it belong to a treasure hunter?" Dad chuckled at Jake's imagination. "Or maybe it just belongs to someone who doesn't do laundry," he teased back. But he tucked the sock into his pocket just in case it turned out to be significant later. Next, they moved to the kitchen, where Dad checked behind appliances and under the sink. "You never know what you might find back here," he said as he squatted down for a look. Just then, he bumped his head on a cupboard door that his wife had left slightly ajar. "Ouch!" he exclaimed, rubbing his head. Lily laughed and said, "Maybe that was another clue. The cupboard is trying to tell you something." Feeling slightly embarrassed but amused by her comment, Dad shook his head with a smile. All right, I'll stick to looking for real clues," he replied, and then turned serious again. Moving on from the kitchen to explore the hallway closet filled with old games and toys long forgotten, they stumbled upon an old board game called Mystery Mansion. The children squealed in delight at their find. They plopped down right there and began reading through the instructions with enthusiasm. "Maybe this game holds some important secrets about our mystery wall," Jake suggested eagerly. "Or maybe it will just lead us to more games we forgot about," Dad replied with a wink. After combing through every corner of their home without finding any hidden treasures or spooky secrets yet, Dad decided to take one last look at Max himself. Maybe their trusty golden retriever was the key to unlocking this mystery. He knelt down beside him and asked earnestly, "All right, buddy, what are you trying to tell us? Is there something behind this wall?" As if responding directly to Dad's question, Max barked loudly and then scratched at the base of the wall with his paw before laying back down peacefully, as though that was all he needed to do. "That's it," Dad exclaimed dramatically as if they had uncovered something monumental. "Max knows something we don't." With renewed motivation and laughter echoing throughout their home from all these silly moments combined, mismatched socks and old board games, Dad felt ready to tackle whatever awaited them behind that wall. The adventure was growing more exciting by the minute. The moment had finally come. After days of anticipation, the Johnson family stood in the living room ready to uncover the mystery behind the wall. Dad took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness wash over him. Max sat near the wall, his tail wagging softly as if sensing the moment's significance, urging them on with soft whimpers. "All right, team," Dad announced as he set his tools down on the floor. He picked up the hammer, lifting it to eye level as if it were a magic wand. "Today, we become explorers and detectives all at once. We're going to see what lies behind this wall." Jake and Lily exchanged wide-eyed looks, filled with exhilaration and disbelief. They could hardly contain their anticipation. After all their searching and wild theories, the time had come to reveal whatever secrets lay hidden from sight. With a swift motion, Dad raised the hammer high above his head, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The sound of the hammer striking against the wall echoed through the room like thunder. Wham! Everyone jumped at the sudden noise that broke the silence surrounding them. "Did you hear that?" Jake squeaked, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Yeah," Lily replied breathlessly. "It's like we just unleashed a giant beast." Feeling emboldened by their playful reactions, Dad aimed again and swung hard. Thwack! The hammer connected again, sending little pieces of drywall flying into the air like confetti. Dust swirled around them as they laughed and coughed lightly while trying to see through the haze. With each strike, tension built in their hearts. Was there something truly remarkable behind this ordinary wall? Was Max right all along? They could hardly believe they were doing this. As Dad pulled back for yet another swing, Max barked excitedly, adding to the dramatic atmosphere of their mini-adventure. With one final, forceful hit, crack! Dad broke through the surface of the wall entirely. A large hole appeared with dark shadows beyond it. Everyone leaned closer as cold air rushed out from inside like an ancient whisper carrying long-lost secrets. "What is it?" Lily gasped in awe as her eyes darted between her dad and Jake. "I don't know," Dad replied with wonder in his voice. Just then, Max stepped forward cautiously but confidently, sniffing around the edges of the hole with curiosity blazing in his eyes. The kids giggled at how serious he looked while performing his duty as a detective dog. "Let's shine our flashlights in there," Jake suggested eagerly. Dad nodded with determination and turned on his flashlight, illuminating what lay within. The beam opened up shadows where they spotted old boxes covered in dust and cobwebs. They had clearly been forgotten for many years. Gasping together in unison at whatever treasure lay ahead filled the air with excitement that was almost palpable. "I can't believe it," Lily squealed delightfully as she peeked through first. As darkness loomed faintly beyond their light's reach, a sense of adventure rushed through each Johnson family member's veins. All thoughts of sleep vanished. This was just too exhilarating. Together they pressed forward, ready to explore every inch of what was hidden behind their wall, a journey that would surely change everything they thought they knew about their home forever. As the dust began to settle, the Johnson family peered into the newly created opening in the wall. Shadows danced around them as their flashlights illuminated the dark space beyond. Dad knelt down and cautiously reached inside, feeling a cool breeze brush against his hand. What could be lurking in this forgotten corner of their home? He pulled out the first item, a dusty old box covered in cobwebs and adorned with rusted hinges. The box looked ancient, almost like something straight out of a treasure map. "Look at this," Dad exclaimed, holding it up for everyone to see. Jake and Lily rushed closer, their eyes wide with wonder. "What's inside?" Jake asked, bouncing on his toes with excitement. "Only one way to find out," Dad replied as he carefully opened the box. With a gentle creak, the lid lifted to reveal a trove of unexpected treasures inside. Old photographs, yellowed letters tied with frayed ribbons, and a small collection of shiny trinkets that sparkled even in the dim light. Lily gasped as she reached for an ornate locket nestled among the items. "It's beautiful," she said, holding it up to catch the light. The locket was engraved with intricate designs and appeared to hold something precious within. Meanwhile, Jake had found a stack of faded photographs depicting people dressed in old-fashioned clothing. One photo showed a family smiling together in front of what looked like their very own house, exactly where they stood now. "Dad, look at this! It's our house!" he shouted excitedly. Dad leaned closer to examine it more closely. "Wow, it must have been taken many years ago," he murmured thoughtfully. As they continued to explore the contents of the box, they unearthed more mysterious artifacts. A small ceramic figurine of a dog that looked remarkably similar to Max, and a handwritten journal filled with stories written by someone who had lived there long ago. "Can we read it?" Lily asked eagerly. "Let's take everything out first," Dad suggested. He felt an electrifying thrill run through him. Each item held stories waiting to be uncovered. Eventually they started flipping through the journal's pages together. The handwriting was elegant but faded with age, telling tales about life in their house decades ago, a time filled with laughter and love, but also challenges during hard winters and adventures in nearby woods. Suddenly, one entry caught Dad's attention. It spoke of a hidden secret behind the wall. "Listen to this," he said aloud. "I've hidden my most cherished possessions behind this wall for safekeeping. Treasures from my childhood that hold memories dearer than gold." The room fell silent as they absorbed what they had just learned. The anticipation bubbled within them like soda fizzing over after being shaken. "It's magical," Jake declared, his imagination racing wild with thoughts about who had once lived here and what other secrets might still lie hidden. "Maybe Max knew all along," Lily added playfully while patting Max on the head affectionately. They shared knowing smiles as laughter erupted again. They were not only uncovering forgotten treasures, but also creating new memories together as a family, a journey that would forever change how they viewed their home. As curiosity swirled around them like fairy dust, excitement grew for whatever awaited them next in this wondrous adventure sparked by their loyal dog. As the Johnson family eagerly examined the treasures from the hidden space behind the wall, Max watched intently from his spot near Dad's feet. His eyes sparkled with curiosity, reflecting the wonder that filled the room. The dog's ears perked up with every gasping sound from Jake and Lily as they uncovered more artifacts from days gone by. When Dad pulled out the beautiful locket and held it up to the light, Max tilted his head, as if trying to understand why it captured everyone's attention so completely. With each new discovery, Max slowly crept, closer, drawn by the excitement in the air. He sniffed at the boxes and photographs, his tail wagging faster and faster as he sensed the joy radiating from his family. Suddenly, Jake pulled out a small ceramic figurine of a dog that looked remarkably like him. "Max! Look at this!" he exclaimed, holding it close to show their golden retriever. Max's reaction was immediate and delightful. He jumped up on his hind legs and let out a joyful bark, tail wagging like a propeller. "That's right, it's you!" Lily laughed as she held up the figurine for Max to admire. The dog sniffed it eagerly, as if trying to make sense of this miniature version of himself. He then turned back to face Jake and Lily with an expression full of pride, as if he had played a part in this discovery. The children giggled at Max's antics, and Dad chuckled as well. He placed the figurine down in front of Max, who seemed to take ownership of it instantly. He sat beside it protectively, giving it occasional nudges with his nose as if to say, "This is mine now." Each time someone announced another find, a beautiful old photograph or an intriguing letter, Max barked in approval. His enthusiasm was contagious. Soon all 4 family members were laughing together, their voices mingling with Max's happy barks. It felt like a celebration of sorts. They weren't just uncovering forgotten items, but also reconnecting with each other and building memories that would last a lifetime. When they flipped through the journal's pages and began reading aloud about life many years ago, Max listened closely, his head cocked to one side. As if he understood every word being said, he occasionally let out soft whines or barks in response to happy memories or adventures described on the pages. As they continued their exploration into the past, Max couldn't contain his excitement any longer. With newfound energy, he bounded around the room playfully and began weaving through each member of his family like a joyful whirlwind. He brought over an old sock they had found during their earlier search through the house and dropped it at Mum's feet while barking proudly as if saying, "Look what I found first!" The family erupted in laughter once again, as Dad leaned down to give Max an affectionate scratch behind the ears. "You truly are our best friend," he said warmly. For Max, this adventure was more than just a treasure hunt. It was a moment filled with excitement and connection that brought his family closer together. With each playful bark and wagging tail, he expressed happiness not just for what was found behind the wall, but also for being part of something special that they all could share together, a moment that would forever bond them as a family united by love and discovery. As the Johnson family continued to sift through the treasures hidden behind the wall, a wave of emotions washed over them, each feeling more profound than the last. The discovery had sparked joy and excitement, but it also stirred deeper sentiments, filling the room with a tangible sense of connection. Dad felt a swell of nostalgia as he looked at the old photographs. Each faded image transported him back to a different time, a time of laughter and love that echoed through their home long before they arrived. He could almost hear the laughter of children playing in the yard, reminding him of his own childhood. "It's amazing to think that people just like us once lived here," he mused, his voice filled with wonder as he showed Lily a photograph of a family standing proudly in front of what was clearly their house. Lily's heart raced with excitement as she examined each item, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Look at this letter! It's written in such beautiful handwriting," she exclaimed, gently running her fingers over the delicate parchment. As she read aloud snippets from the letter, her voice sparkled with enthusiasm. The words painted pictures of adventures and experiences from long ago. She felt a kinship with the writer, imagining what it would have been like to live in that era. "I wish I could meet them," she said wistfully, feeling an unexpected bond with the past. Jake, too, was swept up in the moment. As he held the small ceramic figurine resembling Max, he laughed joyfully. "Who knew you had a mini-me hiding in here?" he joked, placing it down next to Max. Seeing their dog look so proud and happy made Jake's heart swell with happiness. He loved that this discovery brought Max into an even larger story, one filled with mysteries and connections beyond their own lives. "This is so cool! We should try to find out more about them," he proposed excitedly, already dreaming about becoming an amateur historian. Meanwhile, Mum stood back for a moment, taking it all in. The laughter and chatter filled her heart with warmth. It was the kind of happy chaos she cherished most. Yet there was also a pinch of sadness as she thought about how quickly time passes. She remembered her own childhood treasures, the letters she had written to friends and knickknacks that held special memories, and how those moments had shaped her life. "This is such a wonderful reminder to cherish our own stories," she said softly, her eyes glistening with emotion. Max trotted around happily, sensing the joy radiating from his family. Each wag of his tail seemed to echo their emotions, joy intertwined with nostalgia, as if he too understood the significance of this moment. Every now and then, he would nudge against someone with his nose or drop an old sock at their feet as if to say, "Let's keep exploring together." As they settled into this newfound treasure trove of memories and stories, their hearts brimmed with gratitude for both what they had uncovered and what they shared as a family. It wasn't just about finding old items. It was about reconnecting through laughter and discovery, creating new memories while honouring the past. In that moment, they realised that this adventure had become more than just an exploration. It was a celebration of their own journey together, one filled with love, history, and countless stories yet to be told. Emotions swirled around them like colourful confetti, reminding each member of the Johnson family just how special their connections truly were. The adventure of uncovering the treasures behind the wall became a profound journey for the Johnson family, encapsulating lessons and themes that would stay with them long after the dust had settled. As they sat together amid their findings, reflections on their shared experience began to unfold, revealing insights that deepened their understanding of family, curiosity, and courage. For Dad, one of the most significant takeaways was the power of curiosity. "Sometimes it takes a little nudge, like Max's barking, to remind us to look closer at our surroundings," he noted thoughtfully. Breaking open the wall had allowed them to unearth not just physical treasures, but also a treasured bond forged through shared excitement and exploration. "Curiosity can lead to amazing discoveries," he added, smiling at his children as they gleamed with pride from their adventure. Lily chimed in, recognizing her own feelings about curiosity. "I never thought I'd be this interested in something old. It's like time travel." Her eyes shone with enthusiasm as she relayed her experiences reading about lives before hers. She embraced how important it was to ask questions and be eager to learn about history and personal stories, not only those from the past but also those being woven into their present. This newfound appreciation for curiosity blossomed in her heart, urging her to explore more about her own family's history and what made them who they are today. Jake took this opportunity to reflect on the importance of facing fears or uncertainty head-on. "At first, I felt nervous about what we might find," he admitted, scratching his head shyly. "But when we broke open that wall, I realized sometimes you have to push through fear to discover something wonderful." His bravery blossomed as he recognized how stepping out of his comfort zone revealed a whole new world of possibilities, and it felt exhilarating. As for Mum, she found herself wrapped in deeper thoughts as she pondered the aspect of family bonding throughout this journey. "This all reminds me that we should take time for each other and create memories," she said gently, her voice filled with warmth. The laughter shared while digging into boxes made her realize how vital it is to nourish relationships within their household. This experience brought all 4 family members together for a common cause, an adventure that invoked joy while solidifying connections they held dear. Max, too, played an integral role in teaching them lessons throughout this process. His excitement echoed their own feelings. He reminded them about joy found in simple things. A wagging tail and playful spirit can lift anyone's mood. In many ways, Max served as both a guide and a catalyst for this journey. His instincts pushed them towards uncharted territories both physically and emotionally. As they moved forward into future days filled with possibilities, each member of the Johnson family felt invigorated by this experience, which had enhanced not just their understanding, but reshaped their commitment towards one another. They learned everything from nurturing curiosity about past histories to accepting fears of the unknown, while honouring moments together that would shape their future storylines. They tucked these lessons safely away like cherished artefacts discovered behind the wall, knowing that as long as they stayed true to curiosity, courage and connection as a family, they could tackle any mystery life threw at them next. The adventure had turned out even more extraordinary than they ever anticipated. As the Johnson family settled into their living room, surrounded by the treasures they had uncovered, a warm sense of togetherness enveloped them. The experience of breaking through the wall had transformed their home into a space full of history and wonder, But more importantly, it had created a new chapter in their family story. They hadn't just found old items, they had also strengthened their bond and enhanced their understanding of one another. The laughter and excitement that filled the room as they shared stories about each artifact were palpable. Dad smiled at Jake and Lily, who were still chattering excitedly about their discoveries. "You know," he said softly, "this was more than just an adventure for us. It's a reminder of how important it is to keep exploring, both outside and inside our lives." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "And to keep asking questions. There's so much we don't know yet," she exclaimed. Jake added, "We have to find out more about the people in those old photographs. It's like we're part of a big story now." His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, imagining future quests to learn more about their home's history. Mum chimed in, her heart swelling with pride for her family. "This experience has shown us how much we can achieve when we work together as a team," she said. The smiles on her children's faces reflected the joy and love that filled the room. She couldn't help but think of all the future adventures awaiting them, perhaps digging deeper into family roots, or even travelling to places where their ancestors might have lived. Max, sensing his family's joy, wagged his tail energetically while bringing over one of the old photographs he had nudged earlier with his nose. They all burst into laughter at his antics. He seemed to be participating as if he understood how special this time was for them. "Good boy! You helped us uncover this treasure," Jake exclaimed, giving Max a gentle pat. As evening fell and they began to tidy up the remnants of their exploration, Mum suggested a family tradition. Every year on this day, they would explore a new mystery together, or revisit an old favourite as a way to celebrate their bond and curiosity about the world around them. Everyone agreed enthusiastically. "I can't wait for our next adventure," Lily exclaimed gleefully while imagining what surprises awaited them. With hearts full of gratitude and excitement for what lay ahead, they shared hopeful glances towards Max. He looked up at them with bright eyes that practically twinkled with eagerness, a reminder that every day is an opportunity for discovery. As bedtime approached, Dad gathered everyone around him for a group hug. "No matter what happens next," he said warmly, "let's remember this experience, the lessons we've learned and how close we've grown." They squeezed tighter as warmth spread among them, like a cozy blanket. That night, as they drifted off to sleep, visions of future adventures danced in their minds, whether it was exploring hidden nooks in their own house, or taking trips inspired by stories from the past brought back to life by those long-lost treasures behind the wall. The night quieted down with Max curled up at their feet beneath the starry night sky outside, the faithful companion ready for whatever mysteries awaited him and his beloved family next.